Well, hello there gamers, it's me, Super Antonio. Let me begin by asking you, how often do you ponder about a better world for you? How many times did you just sit down, look at the night skies, and think about the theoretical possibility that in the whole multiverse out there, in the boundless corners of space and time, there might just be a world where you could be the one on top? A world where, instead of you being a servant to your furry pals, they are the ones that are your servants. A world where instead of being the cock you hate to admit you are, that cleans himself after your pet dog pees on your kitchen floor, simply because you were too busy and forgot to take him outside for the morning walk, you make him clean after himself, and then you trap him inside a Pokeball and never let him out until he finally learns that his actions do have consequences. A world where it's not you that toils all day at work to bring home food for your pet cat, only for him to show disdain for his slave by disrespecting you and pushing over expensive objects in the house. It is him that works all day for you. Since the beginning of times, Felis Domesticus has been ruling over humanity. Men's historical archives show us that our servitude to these pesky little creatures has been happening for longer than recorded history. So it only comes natural to the minds of the oppressed to fantasize and wish to be in a world where the roles are reversed. A world where it's not you that builds houses and makes food for them, but they build houses and make food for you. So how many times did you ponder about that world? I bet you did countless times. Well, my friend, you have to ponder no more, because that world does exist, and you don't even need a time and space warp drive to reach it. You can throw your prototype in the trash now. Palworld is the world I'm talking about. The world we've all been dreaming since time immemorial, where we can be the masters of it. And in this video, I will show you my journey of 100 days where I attempt to not only survive, but thrive in this world. I will take you with me on an adventure, where I will explore the islands of Palworld, defeat and enslave its fluffy inhabitants, and force them to build a giant base for me. So take your favorite Zoomer juice and hop on in. We are in for a long journey. But to first start playing the game, I need to create the world in my character. After some meticulous dragging of sliders, I create a typical gamer looking dude in his early 20s, with red hair that screams mental instability, and skin so pale caused by the fact that he hasn't gotten out of the house in the last 3 months due to his severe World of Warcraft addiction. I start off my first day with my character waking up half naked down on the ground from a hangover, with some furry characters looking down on me. The only logical explanation to this state of affairs is that the previous night our characters were engaged in some degenerate furry sex party on the beach. Right in front of me, I find my mobile phone. I can read text on it. The towers are the key, the tree holds the truth. God only knows what we were doing on top of trees and towers last night while being totally wasted. I shake off my hangover and I start walking around. Due to my drunkenness last night, I do not remember at all where I am and where I came from, because as you can see in the footage, I walk in the wrong direction at first. I see a blue shining thing. I pick it up. It is a journal of one of my fellow party members. I run further and I find a golden chest. Realizing it's probably not the way I'm supposed to go, I turn around and go back. As I exit the right way this time, just outside the crumbled temple, I find the first fast travel point. To the right of the fast travel point, I encounter the first NPC that's not dressed up as a furry, which is a half-naked female lying down on the grass. She looks like she probably has a headache too from the last night. She calls me a castaway and tells me the island is a living hell. She tells me to toughen up from the hangover if I want to survive and gives me 10 wood. I thank her for the wood and the advice and move forward. Knowing this is a survival game, and in this type of games you have to build up your first sleeping place to pass the first night on day 1, I set my eyes on the first place I could build up a momentary base. I open my building menu and use my hammer to build a primitive workbench. I even make a level doing it. The next thing I do is use my primitive workbench to craft a wooden club. I then take the club in my hands. Seeing myself half naked with a club in my hand, my human male instincts start to kick in and do what my ancestors have been doing since they were cavemen. Bash the hell out of the first animal they see. I get some cheap Pokemon mutton and some wool from it. I try to capture it with my Pokeball. Unfortunately, you cannot capture with your Pokeball a dead animal. Its health has to be close to 0, but not 0. I didn't know that initially. Then I gather some wood and berries. I take down a few trees with my primitive caveman club and gather some stone. Then I craft a torch, and by doing it, I make one more level. I open the technology menu for the first time. I unlock a Palsphere with 1 technology point, and then I try to craft it. But I need more stone for it, so I start to bash my fists against a rock in order to gather more stone. I now can craft a Palsphere. I beat a chicken-looking Pokemon with the club, throw the Palsphere when its health is near 0, and manage to capture my first Pokemon, my first pal. The chicken-looking pal is called a Chikipi. It says they are weak and delicious, just like chicken in real life. They can also lay eggs if assigned to a ranch. I then invest my first 2 level up points, 1 in stamina and 1 in attack. This was actually a bad idea. I didn't know that at the time, that investing points in attack is basically almost useless. I don't even know why the developers allow you to do it. They give you very little additional attack power. I try to craft a PAL box, but don't have enough palladium. You need it for PAL related items, mostly for PAL spheres. I then go to gather some stone by hitting it with my club. It also gives you palladium. Although inefficient, it's a good enough way to gather palladium at the start of the game. I then build a stone pickaxe and an axe. I cut some trees and mine some stone. Now with enough palladium, I use a hammer to build the PAL box. The PAL box is essentially the center of your base. You use it to manage the PALs in your base, and you can only have 1 base at the beginning of the game. My base is level 1. To upgrade to level 2, I need a wooden chest and the first PAL deployed at the base. I deploy my chicken PAL inside the PAL box. I unlock the wooden chest and build one. Since it was getting dark, I unlocked the campfire and built one as well. It seems like you build everything with a hammer in this game, including a campfire. I then cook my chicken pal, even though I also have it deployed at my base. This game actually gives you an interesting technical dilemma. Is your PAL spheres also cloning the PALs? Since you get both the captured PAL and its meat as well. So I eat the clone of my chicken. I then unlock a shoddy bed and attempt to build it, but this game was inspired by Valheim, and I can't sleep under the stars like you can in simpler games. I unlock the wooden structure set and build a small room to place my bed inside. Afterwards, I decide to call it a day and sleep for the rest of the night. The second day, I start looking for a nice large flat area to build a base. Having played thousands of hours of Minecraft and other base building survival games, I know that it is better to find a good location for your base at the beginning of your playthrough than to build it in some non-ideal place like the spawn location and regret it afterwards. So I travel around a bit. I consider the area on the beach because it's nice and flat, but I think it's probably too far away from anything interesting, so I decide it's not the right location for my base. But while I'm there, I see a cave that's too high level for me yet. I mine some palladium, and then I see a green glowing thing. It's a leaf monk effigy. You can offer them to a statue of power and increase your ability to capture pals. I travel some more. I mine my first ore deposit. Oh boy, I'll come to despise this activity in the future. You'll see. Eventually I see a nice flat area that looks like a decent place for a base. I spend the rest of the day building a house. As evening falls, I build a bed in my new house and go to sleep. I start the third day by resuming my work on the house. As I was building, the sheep-looking pal enters my house. This is how I knew it wanted to be adopted. So I start smashing its face with my club like any adoptive parent would do. And when its health gets low enough, I capture it in my bowl. A walk up a hill tends to end with this pal tumbling down. When I try to place down a PAL box, it tells me I can't have more than one concurrent base with a PAL box at this point, so I dismantle my first base. I bring my chicken here. I build a chest and a campfire. I then begin to build a house for my pals. As I was gathering wood, a wandering merchant walks in. He seems to be high or something, because he walks like a robot, uninterrupted by my presence or that of my pals. He decides to stop right before jumping in the water. He says welcome, when in fact is me welcoming him in my base. He has nothing too useful or worth the money, but I decide to buy a long-eared headband schematic. I go to my primitive bench to craft it, but I realize it's not really my style. The merchant keeps wandering around my base for a while. The pals will get stressed without beds. Well, somehow they can live savagely in the forest without beds just fine. But they need beds all of the sudden when they are in my possession? So alright, it's kinda weird for an animal to sleep in a bed, but I'm not gonna judge the devs and their philosophy. I know the Japanese can be quite weird at times. And so, I build beds for them, and then go to sleep. Next morning, I don't understand why the chicken didn't sleep in the bed last night. I did build a bed for it. I think to myself, maybe PAL beds need roofs as well. But that wasn't it. Instead of staying in a bed, it seems to really like flowing above my workbench. I hope you're not trying to lay eggs on my table, chicken. So I keep asking myself, why won't the chicken sleep in a bed? And then I realize that my IQ was probably lower than room temperature yesterday, or maybe in most days, or all days. The pals need straw beds. Well, to my defense, it didn't specify, it just said beds. But perhaps if I didn't have such a troglodyte IQ yesterday, I would have realized it. And so, I build straw beds. And now my chicken is no longer stressed. Now get down from the workbench. You have your own bed now. I build some more chests. I build a repair bench and repair my items. I unlock a bow and arrows, a spear, cloth, a cloth outfit, and a common shield. It seems like I need wool to make cloth, so I start hitting another lamb-ball in the face with the club. I make myself a cloth outfit and I no longer look like a degenerate that just woke up half naked on the sand with a hangover from a furry sex party. I feed my chicken some berries. I upgrade my base to level 3. Now I can have 3 pals at my base. I have a chickpea and I deploy a lamb ball. As I look for a potential third one, I see a cat Pokemon looking thing in the distance. So I do what comes to me naturally and proceed to smashing the head of the cat with my club. I capture the Cativa and deploy it at my base. Cativa is at glance full of confidence, but is in fact weak and cowardly. Well, I don't know about confidence, but it sure looks like it does a lot more work than a cat in our world does. To recover from the brain trauma that nearly killed it after I hit its head with my club, the cat goes to sleep to heal itself. I then set up to build a new chest. As I was preparing to take the hammer and make it, the sheep Pokemon comes and builds it for me. Here is when I knew the game was truly special. Not only does it let you club Pokemons to death, but if you don't kill them and capture them just before doing it, they can help you build whatever you want. Whoever came up with this idea is a genius, or maybe there's just something in the drinking water in Japan. Then both the cat and the sheep Pokemon start harvesting berries. I then want to craft the spear, the bow and the arrows, but I am instantly shocked by what's happening here. The cat starts crafting the spear for me. Then he proceeds to gathering stone with his bare paws. This cat is so much more damn productive than my real life cat. This is what a cat should be. Take notes, Luna! Take notes! Day 5. I wake up in the morning with the arrows already crafted by the lamb ball. I then start crafting the bow. Dude, what are you doing here? What's so interesting about that rock? What are you doing here? Seems like I ran out of food, so I start to hunt some animals that are already wandering around my house. And my pals help me take them down. My pals choose to fight with me over their own brethren. I then cook some sheep and chicken meat. And I am just curious if they eat their own. To my surprise, the chicken literally eats meat from other chickens, and judging from how happy it looks and sounds, it really likes it. This game is actually a lot more twisted and deranged than it looks at first sight. Not only does it feature slavery and Pokemon cruelty mechanics, but it also features these pal spheres with which you can capture an animal and also clone it to take its meat, cook the meat, and then you can literally feed its own meat back to the same animal to eat. What is in the drinking water in Japan? We need to know. A dead lamb ball starts sweating for some reason. To upgrade my base to level 3, I need a feed box. And while I build one, I order my lamb ball to build a common shield for me. I cook my pals their own meat for them, and I place it in the feed box. Man, what are you doing in the water, staring at the rock for so long? I hope this river doesn't have the same water they drink in Japan, because that might explain it. I start day 6 by building a berry plantation. I proceed to planting and watering the berries. They took a while. Then they have to grow before they can be harvested. For some reason, my cat is upset. But upset or not, he still comes to help me build the second berry plantation. Luna never helps me build anything, regardless of how she feels like. Take notes, Luna, take notes. Look how dutifully the cat does his chores. I spend some time planting and watering more berries. Cativa then goes to mining stone. Very hard-working cat he is. With the feed box, I can now upgrade my base to level 4. Dude, are you depressed or something? You might catch a cold if you stay too long in the water. I pick the leaf monk effigy near my house, I craft 5 more pal spheres, and then go to capture one more hardworking cat. With the 4th pal deployed at my base, I can level it up to 5. I build the furry statue on top of my house. This base is now divinely protected by the furry god. I enhance my capture level for the first time. Look how they're working together. This is what cats can achieve if they have the will. I choose to enhance one of the cats with better work speed as a gift for how much it works, so it could work even more. Ain't I a generous man? I believe I am. I build the 5th bed and upgrade my base to level 6. I start day 7 by checking what my Pokemon slaves are doing. Seeing that only one of my cat servants was hard at work and the other one was slacking, I immediately take it in my hand and throw it back at work. Unfortunately, without a method to continuously enforce harsher working standards, the cat continued to stay on a break. You have to build a monitoring stand to do just that, and I was too early in the game to build it then. I unlock and build an alarm bell. With this, you can force all the pals in your base to focus on attacking invading enemies or ignore them and focus on work. I then check to see what uses do different pals have, other than working and dropping food for you. I read that Lamball has a partner skill called Fluffy Shield, that when activated, it turns into your own personal pet body shield. I also read that having Kativa pals in your team help you carry more supplies. This essentially makes them the most useful pals you could have in your team in the very early game. They help you carry 50 more units of weight. I spend the rest of the day going into the wild and capturing more servants. While being on my peaceful mission to enslave more pals, I see in the distance a giant mammoth monster looking Pokemon called Mamorest. Assuming he is dangerous, I decide to stay away from him. Little did I know at this time that despite me being completely non-aggressive and respectful towards the monstrous creature by not attacking him or encroaching on his territory, he will not reciprocate in the future. So I resume attacking small innocent cats with my pointy spear and capturing them. I also find a scorched egg. I wonder what would come out of it. I have to build an egg incubator to find out. After some more capturing and forcing poor forest animals into my team, I decide to name my animals by giving them a unique, beautiful name for each one. I will call you Cat 1, I will call you Cat 2, I will call you Cat 3, and I will call you Sheep Shield. I then decide to go further and look for more potential animal servants. I marvel at the giant beast, thinking it's a follower of the non-aggression principle. I capture a fire fox. It says in its description that it is an environmental danger to the forests. I capture a penguin pal. It says in the pal deck that despite the fact that its feathers have disappeared, it still tries to fly. Don't we all desire to fly, despite our capabilities? As I return to my base, I am pleased to see that the 2 stone boulders have been completely mined with the bare paws of my 2 hardworking cats. Next day, I was pleasantly surprised that not only are the cats back at work for me, but the boulders also came back to existing. It turns out that in Palworld, not only do trees come back to life, but boulders and ore deposits do as well. I build a Pal Gear workshop. It can be used to craft items that allow you to use Pal active skills. With the Pal Gear workshop built, I can upgrade my base to level 6. I then build a ranch. If you place your pals with the farming skill in the ranch, they will produce certain items for you. And so, I assign the lamb ball to the ranch. In time, it will produce wool. I then craft a parachute and I test it out. I unlock the living room furniture set and I build a kitchen shack kind of area. What is really nice about Palworld is that unlike previously launched survival base building games, when you build or craft, you don't need to have the necessary ingredients in your player inventory. You can just have them in any chests inside your base. This is a great feature that eliminates a lot of tedium and streamlines the fun aspect of crafting and base building. Let's hope that more base building games do this in the future and the obnoxious chest management mechanic becomes outdated game design that we look down upon the same way we look upon hit scanners in first-person shooters. I think the kitchen shack turned out pretty nice. I built some torches to light up the base a little. I put up a sign to express my desire that I just want to be left alone. I set up a logging site. With this, pals will automatically farm wood for you. I also place a stone pit. And one of the cats immediately starts mining in it. I then build a crusher. You can use it to get fiber from wood and palladium from stone. It's actually not a very useful item. There are far more efficient ways to obtain palladium and I usually need a lot more wood than fiber. But with that, I can upgrade my base to level 7. I decide to get a melee upgrade and craft a bat. I check to see how much food I have. Looks like my chickens have laid out quite a few eggs. So I cook 10 eggs for myself. And it seems like I had run out of technology points. You make technology points by leveling up or finding high-grade technical manuals. Right now, the easiest way is to level up. And best way to level up now is to capture and entrap more unassuming pals in my bowls. And while I'm at it, I can also complete some more tutorial quests. I complete capturing 5 lamb balls. What's this dirt slime looking Pokemon? A Gumos. It looks like it's good at planting. I will deploy him at my base to plant berries when I return home. And with this, I see in the distance a new fast travel shrine. I unlock my second fast travel point. I encounter my third non-furry NPC, a skilled islander. You're a new face, don't tell me, an outsider. Not that it matters to me. Now that you're on this island, why not try to catch some pals? Well, that's what I'm trying to do right now, buddy. You can get extra experience for capturing up to 10 of the same kind, you know. I did not know that, thanks for telling me. You are indeed skilled. I capture more hardworking cats so I can have more feline servants in the future. I find another journal. This time, I decide to find where the hell the journal menu is. And so, I find it. Castaway's Journal. The world harbors a secret. The secret is that if you look in the description of this video, you will find a link to my Steam game. I capture a celery and a Theophant. Theophant seems to be good inside your base for watering and in your team for healing you. This is indeed a useful skill. Palworld does not have potions. If you want to heal yourself, you need a healer in your team. And celery is also good for watering inside your base and for carrying items to their chests. If you have it in your party, it allows you to use it as a glider, which is a slower way to descend than having a basic glider equipped. I find a red chest that requires a copper key to open it. Near it, I find a golden chest with a copper key inside. And then I open the red chest. It has a bunch of items. I keep exploring and I find a boar. Can an open world game really be good without boars? I think not. but let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. I keep exploring into a yellow area and boars seem to aggro me. They are probably aggressive mobs. It says that they are indeed aggressive. They can also be used as a mount. Honestly, riding boars has never really been my style. It is also faster to use the boar to mine while mounted than mining with a pickaxe, but I was too damn lazy to read the rest of the description at the time. That's why you should read, kids. Don't be lazy like me. I go forward, I find an egg. I see and hear some fighting. It looks like the thugs are attacking innocent pals. What kind of monster would do such a thing? I come to the help of the pals and shoot the thugs with my bow from the distance. I join the fight on ground and I actually try to capture one. I didn't expect to be able to capture humans, but it looks like you can. It's only that they have a higher resistance to being captured than animal pals. I defeat them and collect their drops, mostly coins and pal spheres. I keep exploring and I find Pikachu.
Pika Pika! Pikachu!
It looks like Pikachu has quite a temper. No joke. Mean little buddy. I find a horse sheep. The horse sheep almost kills me, but I managed to capture it in the end. I capture a monkey. Looks like the monkey has quite a lot of uses inside your base. And the cute horse sheep can be ridden and can be put to graze and drop wool. I then find the wandering merchant again. But again, he doesn't seem to sell anything I want. And with this, the sun sets and I am quite far from home. I take out my torch and I try to go back home. On my way back home, I see a green squirrel Pokemon. I do what any normal person would do to such a creature and set it on fire. Unfortunately, it manages to run away. A depressed espresso steals my attention. Deciding it's too late to fight them and I should rather go to sleep, I leave them alone and go back on my way home. On my way, I find a tree with some weird fruits and another Leafmonk effigy. I then disturb the sleep of innocent unassuming cats with the intention to make them my servants. Unfortunately, I hit the first one so hard that I accidentally kill it. Well, you can't say slavery doesn't have its risks. I find some weird purple female looking Pokemon called a Daydream. Realizing I don't have any balls left, I leave the fight. But they don't want to leave me. They won't let me fall asleep. And so, if they choose violence, I will give them violence. I craft some more bowls. I venture back outside my house to put them to sleep, so I can finally fall asleep. My pals help me into sedating the daydreams into a deep sleep. It says in the description of the daydream that those that fall under its spells are never to wake until death takes them. So basically, if the daydream bewitches you, you die until you die. I repair my cloth outfit and after this, I try to finally have some rest, but the sun has just risen. It was too late to sleep anymore. I start the morning by checking to see what my workers are doing. My cat servant seems to have been really hard at work in the last days. She has produced 115 stone in the stone pit. It says she's feeling down because of bad working conditions. Well, it has a safe place to sleep at night and a reliable source of food. And she clearly has enough energy to work, so I think she should just nap out of it. Look how they toil for me. Look how they obey their master. It was always meant to be this way. The master ruling over his minions. Isn't this world a paradise? So it looks like the sheep Pokemon has produced a lot of wool. In my farm, it looks like everybody is productive and knows their place. I am a very happy master. Cats mining, chicken laying eggs, sheep laying wool, penguin carrying items. But you can always have an upgrade. Even if your employees are good enough, or slaves in my case, it doesn't mean that they can't be even better. A boss should never be satisfied if one wants to keep evolving. And so, I look through my pal deck and see how I can use my newly acquired pals to maximize my power and production even harder. I add a Melpaka to my party with the intention to use it as a mount, a Celery to use it as a glider, a Tansy to use in combat, a Teophant to use as a healer, and a Daydream to use in combat. Unfortunately, to use some abilities, I have to craft certain items, like a saddle for the Melpaka if I want to ride it. But with all this crafting, I forgot to enhance my stats. I enhanced stamina and carrying weight. I argue these two are the most useful skills in the game. I unlock and craft a Melpaka saddle. Oh yes, this is a lot faster than walking. Definitely worth the investment. I decide to give it a unique name. What should I call this beautiful, magnificent, lovely female Melpaka? I know, I will call her my horse. I start day 12 by crafting Celery's gloves. And I glide slower with it than with the glider item alone. Another worthy investment. I will call this other beautiful female Pokemon my glider. I do some inventory management and I miss the carrying weight passive of the cats, and so I add Tucativa back in my party. And I change the name of the Teophant to my healer. Now my team would be ready for an adventure. I add a Gumos and a Teophant to my base, so it would plant and water berries, securing me and my pals a constant source of food. I spend the rest of the day crafting spheres and cutting down trees. On day 13, it looks like my hardworking cat has bloodshot eyes, but I am too busy cutting down trees to notice. I then cook some berries and eat some. And then I go collect some of the rocks. There I notice something is wrong with my ideal worker, the slave employee cat. It looks quite stressed out and it says it's developing an eating disorder. Its sanity is only 12 out of 100, but I'm not sure what to do about it. And since it looks like it continues to work just fine, I just leave it be and move on with more important tasks. I go into the forest to collect more pals and level up. I managed to capture 10 Cativa and get the experience bonus. I continue exploring, find another Leafmonk effigy. I unlock a new fast travel point, check to see the level of the cave near it, but it's higher than mine. And I run into a camp of syndicate thugs. I unlock a blue hedgehog they were holding captive. Now he can be my captive. Looks like he's good for cooling and not much else. And now I think to myself, I have completed all the other tutorial quests. I might be strong enough to defeat the tutorial boss. I enter the boss arena and it begins a cutscene. A wild waifu with a bare belly appears. If this is the boss, I will most definitely win. How hard can an 18-year-old looking waifu be to defeat? Oh no. She just summoned some big ass Raichu to cock and defend for her. This might not be as easy as I thought initially. I summon my horse, I hop on it and do jack damage. The waifu mocks my pathetic attempt to try to beat her American-sized Raichu with a club. The battle ends with the obese Raichu electrocuting me. This right here was my first death at day 13. I was severely underprepared for the fight. This is clearly not part of the tutorial anymore, and I'll come back to it when I am fully prepared. I respawn at my base and wonder if I can recover my items. I died inside the boss arena. I hope they're not stuck inside there. But I did enough for today, so I go to sleep. Day 14 starts with me going back to the Syndicate Tower. I am lucky, and my items are just outside the door. I then go home and start cooking some eggs. And just right there, the monstrous mammoth Pokemon enters my base. Getting scared, I get away, allowing it to stomp all over my base. Luckily, it doesn't attack anyone. Its intention wasn't to hurt me with its horns or stomps. Its intention was to humiliate me and disrespect me and all of my pals. What it wanted was to display its dominance over us, to show us that it can stomp right through my base and there isn't a goddamn thing we can do about it. Swallowing my pride, I try to forget the event and move on to my other tasks. I continue cooking, and then I check the mental health of my greatest worker. Its sanity didn't improve that much, only 10 points. I feed him, I try to pet him but he runs away. It looks like he doesn't want to see his master. I want to build some jacuzzi looking thing that says it recovers the sanity of pals. Why the hell would a jacuzzi cure someone's sanity? I mean, it may be relaxing, but to cure someone's depression is quite a stretch. Well, so be it. As long as he keeps working, why would I care how he feels like? Show me a robber baron that says he cares about his workers, and I'll show you a liar. And I'd rather be filthy rich than be some cringe humanitarian. I spend the rest of the day mining palladium. While looking for resources, I find a pink egg and a purple chest. I go home and see my gumos planting berries from inside the house, spitting seeds through the windows. This game is really crazy, man. On day 15, I go out to gather more resources. I find a cute white fox looking Pokemon called Cremis. It has finer wool than the Lamball and looks a lot cuter. I spend the day mostly capturing pangolets. I see a large bird flying in the sky called Nightwing. I fight and capture it. It can be ridden as a flying mount. Now that's a pal I'm glad to have in my possession. The map of Palworld is so vertical and there are hills and cliffs everywhere. It's nice to have a bird pal that I can ride. I also encounter some burry ram turtle mongrels. They fight pretty hard, but nothing I couldn't overcome. The Capriti has leveled to planting. Looks like my Gumos back at base will get replaced. As I go back to base, I can see that my hardest worker is still depressed. One could easily say in this situation that it's none of my business how some foolish worker feels like, but unfortunately his depression is so bad that he stays all day in bed, sleeping rather than working. So, I decide to do something about it. I cannot let his selfishness hurt the productivity of my fine establishment. What if he gets so sad that he decides to jump off some cliff? I cannot let myself live with that thought. This cat is my greatest worker. Think about my bottom line here. You could say that I should just let him go, if that's his choice. But I depend too much on him. He breaks rocks, he harvests plants, he builds things up. He's an all-rounded servant. I have to think about what truly matters here. I cannot let my greatest worker get so depressed that I just lose him. In the past, I tried to make him take a break, but that didn't seem to lower the stress levels that much. Feeding him won't make him happy. Petting him won't make him happy. So, I researched the jacuzzi thing and build it. After I build the jacuzzi, it looks like grass is coming from under it and water is green. Oh, now I understand why the jacuzzi improves the pal's sanity. It is filled with weed water. I then take him in my hand and throw him in the drug water. And he got so high from it that he literally glitched out and started flowing. I test the water for myself, but it doesn't seem to have any effect on me. Perhaps animal weed water doesn't have an effect on humans. After some time, my cat worker comes down to the ground and starts to seem quite happy. Looks like the weed water is having a positive effect. After a night's sleep, I get down to see the mental state of my cat. Looks like his sanity recovered substantially, but he's still depressed. So it looks like the weed water did cure my cat's symptoms, but not the cause. And since happiness comes from working and achieving goals, such as making your master happy by doing errands for him, I just assume the cat will get happier in time. I then build a primitive furnace, which can be used to burn wood into charcoal and smelt ores into ingots. But I actually need a pal with the kindling skill to run it, so I replace a Theophant with a Fox Sparks. The Firefox burns wood by waving its tail at it. Afterwards, I make it smelt some ingots. I upgrade my base to level 8. I deploy a Tansy at my base. In this game, if you want to build stuff, you need a lot of stone and wood. The cat is already mining stone, and so I needed a pal with the logging skill. I build a bed for the monkey. I check on my Cativa once again. His sanity keeps improving from the weed water, but he's still depressed. It says here that I need to feed it medicine. And so, I unlock a medieval medicine workbench and the needles required for crafting it. I craft the needles and build the medicine workbench. I have a few options of medical items to craft now. One of them is an item called high-grade medical supplies. It says it cures depression. This item is Pocket Pair's way of safely saying that I can craft ketamine without making Palworld get a mature rating. They probably want the game to receive a 12+ rating. And with the desire to make the ketamine to cure my cat's depression, I start crafting it. And boy, it is slow. Who the hell knew that making ketamine takes longer than building a literal ranch? Getting tired with how long it takes, I go to my pal box to see if I have any pal with the medicine skill. Unfortunately, all my pals being so low level, they also probably have a low IQ, so I cannot ask any to help me make the dissociative anesthetic. And I go back and continue to craft it just by myself. And it literally takes a third of the day. I then call my Cativa out of the pal box and try to feed it the ketamine. The cat literally eats the ketamine syringe, and his depression is finally cured. Viewers, please don't try this at home. There might have been some studies showing that getting ketamine administered by a medical professional in a controlled environment might help in curing depression, but as far as I know, there are no studies showing that eating a ketamine syringe at home can cure your depression entirely. In the morning of day 17, I check on the logging site. It looks like the monkey Pokemon has produced 37 wood. I'd say that's pretty good so far. I mine some more from the respawning ore deposit. I smelt it, craft some nails, and then build the high quality workbench. With it in my base, I can upgrade my base to level 9. I build a sandbag for defense purposes. I do some more grinding for resources and craft better equipment, namely a metal axe and pickaxe. I then build a 3-shot bow. Somehow, although it shoots 3 arrows, it only consumes 1 arrow. Now that's efficiency, and it looks like it does some pretty good damage. I start day 18 by cutting down the respawning tree in my base and craft a lot of arrows and some pal spheres. I craft Tansy's assault rifle and put the monkey back in my team. Now this is a proper American monkey. I spend the rest of the day capturing more pals. I find a rocky egg. I upgrade my armor by replacing it with pelt armor. On day 19, I decide I am all geared up to hunt my first bosses. On my way there, I hunt and capture 8th tier deer. It puts up a decent fight, but nothing too dangerous. Looks like it has leveled to lumbering. In the beginning of the playthrough, I spent a lot of time chopping down trees. I'm glad I got to the point where I can automate some of it by making my pet slaves do this job for me. While I was getting back on my way towards the Chillet boss, it looks like the boss came to me. I attacked the Chillet. Unfortunately, the stupid cat kills it before I can attempt to capture it. Killing bosses instead of capturing them will become a reoccurring issue for me, especially when I forget to call back my pal in the sphere. After the defeat of my first boss, I spent the rest of the day capturing pals and gaining experience. I managed to obtain a Mega Sphere. There are multiple types of Pokeballs in Palworld. The higher the level, the greater the capture power it has. I unlocked 2 fast travel points. Inside the church, I find a chest and a statue dedicated to the furry god. I decide to invest my level up points. On day 20, I stock up on arrows. I make a bed for the 8th tier deer. Bro, I built a bed for you. Why the hell did you get on top of the trees? What are you doing there? Watching over my base? I then do some inventory management. It seems like he wanted to cut wood from on top of the trees. I then take my horse and return to the Chillet, now with the intention to capture it and make it my servant. This time, I'll be extra careful not to kill it. It puts another good fight, and I do too. And at the end, I make sure to subtract my pal in its bowl, and thus, I successfully capture it. I then start going towards the next boss, Pen King, the Penguin King. On my way there, I find an American-sized black marketeer. He says he sells illegal Pokemon. I took a look at what he has to offer, and what he offers are mostly female-looking waifu Pokemon. To make enough money to acquire my own waifu Pokemon, I sell some of the pals that are duplicates. I then buy Brisla from him, which looks like a waifu Pokemon that also has an IQ high enough to help in the making of medicine. Like most waifus, she may look cute, but has a lot of red flags, and by that I mean poisonous thorns. I unlock the fast travel point near Penking. I then enter Penking's dungeon and challenge him to a battle. Unlike the Chillet, this boss has his own arena. He was quite powerful and destroys me. This was my second death. I checked to see what uses the Chillet has. It says it can be ridden and roll around at extremely high speeds. I'll craft the saddle for it later and see if it's faster than the Melpaka. I spend the evening hunting more pals. I capture a new pal called Fuck. It's like the F word with an A in the middle, but with that face, it sure doesn't look like the affable type. I then try to take out an aggressive human NPC. I attempt to capture him, and to my surprise, the capture succeeds. What the heck? You can capture humans in this world? Man, the drinking water in Japan sure is something. It does say that capturing humans is considered inhumane. Well, not in my law book. Now, I can have both animal and human servants. I can find the Fuck pal in the pal deck, but not the Syndicate Thug. Perhaps the pal deck doesn't have data on humans. I find a Leafmonk effigy and some chests. On day 21, I craft a saddle for the Chillet and test out my new rideable mount. I am not sure if he's faster than the Melpaka, but he sure looks cooler, and I don't say that just cause he spews ice. I deploy Brisla at my base, she's quite a handy waifu pal, and replace the Melpaka with the Chillet. I check to see what new items I can craft, but a lot require ingots. So I spend some time mining ore. I craft a meat cleaver, and I test it out on the penguin. The game blurs the action in an attempt to not get a mature rating from the ESRB. It's not really worth to make meat this way, because butchered pals will not return to the pal box, you lose them forever. I build a fridge-looking deployable named Cooler Box inside my kitchen area. It prevents food stored inside from spoiling. I also build a training dummy and call it a day. Next day, I see that my elk Pokemon is upset and went to sleep. Well, of course you're upset, sitting for days in a tree. Get the hell down from there. He has 0 sanity left. Well, only an insane elk would go to sleep in a tree. That's no proper place to sleep. I increase his sanity by throwing him in the weed water, and he also gets so high from it that he literally starts flowing. I'm starting to believe that the drinking water in Japan is actually weed water. I then go to capture more pals and find a new one called Relaxaurus. It says it's good at watering. Good to know. I build a sphere workbench which can be used to craft higher tier spheres. And with it, I can upgrade my base to level 10. I build a mill, but without a wheat plantation, it's quite useless right now. I then build a monitoring stand, placing it above my base, where I can have full view of my servants. With this, I can finally increase the productivity of my base. I can choose from 3 different working styles. Normal mode, which is a cocked Scandinavian style of 6-hour workday where my pals have an unbalanced work-life existence where their leisure time outweighs their working time. A Japanese style mode where my pals work 12-hour shifts 6 days a week. Or Amazon mode where my slaves are forced to work all day, every day and pee in bottles if they can't hold it in until the end of the day. I begin day 23 by going out and mining palladium. While on my mining errand, I encounter a glowing firefox. I do what's instinctive to me in this scenario, bash its head with my bat and capture it. I build an egg incubator and place the first egg inside, which will hatch in 5 minutes. I replenish my arrow stock and head out once again to capture more pals. I return home in the evening and see that the egg is ready to hatch. Its description reads that it is a mountable pal and is slightly faster than most mounts. Well, I like to hear that. On day 24, I head out into the world to capture more pals. I find a new pal called Lifmonk. It says he is as smart as a 5 to 7-year-old human child. But more importantly, he works hard like an adult. I capture a lot of pals this day and complete a few 10 out of 10 bonuses. I go home at sunset. Looks like the scorching egg is ready to hatch. Flambell. Good for kindling, and it produces flame organ when assigned to ranch. So I replace the firefox with it. On day 25, I craft a bunch of pal spheres. I place a rocky egg in the incubator. I build a cooking pot. Then I go out to explore the map some more. I discover a small settlement. I talk with some guard. Reliable PIDF officer. He tells me that before the Rain Syndicate came, more people lived here. He tells me that he'll protect me as long as I pay him. Greedy cop bastard. I talk with a few NPCs, they tell me some lore and some decent advice. I then meet the Wandering Merchant. Wait, is he really a wandering type if he just sells from his own shop now? Well, at least I hope he solved his obsession with sitting in a lake all day and staring at rocks. I buy some wheat from him. I disturb some female from her sleeping. I then enter the shop of the pal merchant and sell a lot of duplicate pals. I continue to explore this hideous Indian favela looking settlement. I return home. While I was trying to find a place for the gigantic wheat plantation, my peacefully ran slave establishment is suddenly attacked by PETA terrorists. Their intention is to free my pals from serfdom and send them back into the wild, where they face much harsher living conditions. They want to kill me, burn down my house, and take away my pals' daily food source and their safe warm bed to sleep at night. My pals, to prove their preference for their way of life under my protection, helped me into defeating the PETA terrorists. The PETA raid lasts only 30 seconds. They barely leave a scratch on me. They are essentially as competent in this game as they are in the real world. I then place down 2 wheat plantations where the pals can continue to slave away for me. They are very grateful that I brought them a new source of food on top of the berries. How could they leave my safe base and return to an uncertain existence back in the wilderness? PETA is truly an evil organization. I water the wheat and then see what comes out of the rocky egg, Domund. With level 2 mining, I will certainly place him in my base to gather stone and ore. I level up my base and then go to sleep. Day 26. I place a dark egg in the incubator, collect wheat for the first time, and I start production for flour. Now at level 18, I decide to take my revenge on Panking. I summon Chilette to help me in the fight. And while he's keeping Panking busy, I take out his Pangolette minions. Unfortunately, I killed a boss by mistake instead of trying to capture it. As I said, killing bosses instead of capturing them will continue to be a reoccurring issue for me. I get home and hatch a dark egg. It's a daydream, how underwhelming. I already had 3 of them. Let's hope the next egg is something new. I mine some more and come home to smelt it. I continue mining for the rest of the day. In the evening I cook some food. Next day I hatch the egg. It's another Melpaca, another pal I already had. I check on my slaves. They have produced some wood and stone, very nice from them. I craft a small feed bag. It unlocks a slot in your inventory used to store food, and then the player and his pals automatically consume from it. You don't have to use food manually with it. I then try to craft a breeding farm, but I can't seem to find a place for it since it's so damn big. I spend the rest of the day capturing pals. On day 28, I decide to go in my first dungeon. I wonder what I could find, since so far there wasn't really anything I needed and didn't find in the overworld. I remember about the cave on the beach I saw at the beginning of the playthrough. Right to the left inside it, I find 2 large palladium deposits. Yeah, I probably should have checked out the cave sooner. I capture a black Egyptian looking cat called Mao. I also capture another syndicate thug. His punishment for disturbing me and my pal hunting is a life in prison of my Pokeball for the rest of his days. I do sometimes wonder how the idea of staying inside the pal sphere works out technically. When you get captured, are you in some sort of cryogenic slumber where all your consciousness passes until you are summoned back into the world? Or is your mind essentially in a prison, agonizingly waiting for the moment to finally experience physicality once again? Looks like Mao is only good for producing coins when assigned to the ranch. I continue my exploration of the cave. Syndicate thugs attack me once again, and so I try to capture a few more. I go deeper into the cavern, mine some more palladium, and encounter a new pal, a fuddler. Looking back on the footage, after I had completed my 100 days, I noticed that my levels of inattentiveness were critical here. I probably dismissed this pal as too low level and obsolete when looking at work suitability. But above it, in the partner skill, it says that it's able to detect nearby ore. This would have been very useful most probably. I played the rest of the 100 days not realizing that there are pals with the ability to detect ore. I explore the rest of the cave and at the end I encounter a Firefox boss. Being so overleveled, I defeat it very easily and capture it. I look for another dungeon. In the second cavern, I find a pal type named Kilmari. It can be used as a glider, but I already have a pal that does that, but its work suitability has level 2 transporting. At the end of the dungeon, I find another Firefox boss, but this one is a different species of Firefox. This one is called Ruby. In the dungeon and the chests, I find 2 pendants. It's already night when I get out. On my way back home, I encounter depressed espresso and capture 2 of them. As I get home, the scorching egg is ready to hatch. R sucks. With level 2 kindling. I do some PAL box management, and by now it is already morning of the next day. I do some more chest inventory management. It's so tiresome. I craft a weapon workbench, and with that I can upgrade my base to level 12. I deploy the Domund at my base and assign him to the stone pit. And since I can't build anything new because I don't have enough ingots, I go mine some more ore. I return by sunset and start production for ingots. I assign Foxsparks to smelt them. As I am patiently waiting for the Firefox to finish smelting, my base is once again invaded by Mamorest. It came once again to stomp all over us and disrespect us. Look at that smug face. He probably thinks that all the surrounding area is his, including the land under my fine establishment. Well, Mr. Mamorest, I can tell you that I will not be humiliated once again by your kind. And so, I begin a fight for my dignity. I summon Chilette and start shooting.
Anyway, I started blasting.
My base pals start attacking. With such a large team, I think we will surely defeat the shameless monster. Mamorest proceeds to incapacitate most of my pals. I get closer to him and he annihilates me with 1 double tornado attack. But I don't give up and I don't continue to allow my pride get stomped once again by his big feet. I do not give up and I keep fighting. He kills me a second time. And right when I decided to swallow my pride and hide in my bedroom, the dumb beast glitched out and got stuck in a position. I rapidly go to repair my gear and come back, but when I get out of the house, the beast had magically disappeared. With great shame, I decide to pick up the pieces next morning and go to sleep. Next morning, I lick my wounds and put my pals into the pal box to regenerate. Looks like the only ones that survived the invasion were Brisla, Pengulet and Domund. I don't know where the other 2 hid last night, but it looks like Domund hid in a tree, because clearly he is small enough that nobody would see him there. And while I'm cooking some berries, he once again comes over to show his dominance over me. He knows I have learned my lesson and will not attack him again. Well, Mr. Mamorest, you might have won the last night's battle, but you will see that one day I will take revenge upon you. You may dismiss me now as a meek level 19 pal tamer, but I guarantee you I will come on top in the end. And so, fully determined and with anger in my heart to get stronger, I go to Panking with the intention to capture him now, which I do this time with the help of a Megasphere. Looks like Panking is good at a lot of things. I return to base, deploy Panking, he immediately goes to mine stone. And then I redeploy my injured pals. Again you come here, unbelievable the shamelessness it has.
You can't keep getting away with it!
To get stronger, I improve my equipment. I craft a mega shield, a metal spear, and a crossbow. I then test out my new shiny weapons. I see that my egg is ready to hatch. Toko Toko is born. It doesn't have much use in the farm. It says that it has an egg bomb launcher, but I doubt it's better than my new crossbow. What I do craft next is a saddle for the direwolf. After all, its description reads that it's faster than most mountable pals. It is indeed faster than the Chillet. I then craft Lifmonk's submachine gun. This game is definitely a Pokemon clone intended for an American audience. And thus, with this new pal party, I am ready to go hunting tomorrow. Next morning, I hatch a Galeclaw. I already have a pal with Gathering 2, and I am too underleveled to craft its gloves. Afterwards, I spend all day capturing pals. I remember to name the direwolf. I call him Fast Horse, because that's what he is to me. By evening, I had probably captured over 30 pals and made 2 levels. I unlock a new fast travel point shrine and return to base to sleep. Next day, I craft Nightwing's saddle. This item allows me to fly the bird Pokemon. I didn't say it until now, but I think the map of Palworld looks gorgeous. What's also cool is that you can shoot while being mounted on the bird. I then begin to craft a lot of arrows and pal spheres. Fully stocked on ammo and spheres, I go back to hunting. I encounter a syndicate camp, defeat the thugs, and free the pal they were holding captive, so now it can be my captive. Bunny is a pal who's never without a bright smile. Aww. I continue exploring and see a glowing Chikipi. This is quite the size. You'd think this is some McChicken GMO monstrosity. Well, it may very well be. All I care is if it lays bigger eggs, and so I capture it and will deploy it when I go back to base. I go into a cave, capture some more pals, and mine coal for the first time. I defeat the Caprity boss at the end, go home, repair my equipment, and go to sleep. On day 33, PETA invades once again. This time, they only last 10 seconds, which is still probably longer than most men watching this video. I do a lot of chanced inventory management, so tiresome. Right outside my base, there is a pal walking around named Hucrates. The only thing it's good at is thinking. I want to craft a metal armor, but I need more ingots, so I go mine some more ore. After some mining and smelting, I craft the metal armor and the metal helm. Today is the day I decide to change the location of my main base. You see, this area is far from ideal to build a large settlement. The PAL box is the center of your base. You can only build within a limited radius of it, and in this area, my buildings would be obstructed by the stone wall and the lake. And so, I decide to go scouting for a nice, very flat area where I could establish a long-term base with no hills or lakes standing in the way. After half a day of scouting, I believe I have found just the proper place to build my main base for the rest of the day. I begin by laying down some stone pavement, build the PAL box, I gather some stone in the surrounding area. Then I begin building my manor for the rest of the next 2 days. Now with my house complete, I begin building a shelter for my pals. If you look at this footage and don't know what the hell I'm trying to do here, don't worry, you're not alone. I don't know what I'm trying to do either. While building, I realized that the hardest boss in Palworld isn't Griswold and Zoe, Valeris and Marcus, or Shadowbeak and Victor. The actual hardest boss in Palworld is a damn 1 feet tall slope. Building can get quite infuriating. Valheim also has some annoying stiff tile arrangement mechanic, but at least you can level up your ground to some degree. As far as I know, you cannot modify the ground in Palworld, so choose very carefully where you build. I will return to this area of my base and rebuild it a bunch of times. When I chose this location to place my main base in, I thought this was going to be a perfectly horizontal plane. Apparently it was not, but I built too much already to seek another one, so I'll stay here. I start day 38 by moving my pals to the new location of my main base. I spend the rest of day 38 and 39 dismantling the deployables at the old place and building them at the new one. I spend most of day 40 setting up chests and doing chest inventory management. On day 41, while I was gathering the very last items from my old house, my old base gets invaded by violent wild pals. They put up a much better fight than Pita, but nothing I can't handle. I return with the items at my new base and build a few second tier beds for my pals. And with them built, I can upgrade my base level. I place a wooden gate at the entrance of my base. Unfortunately, gates do not stick to tiles for some stupid reason, and I have this ugly look where at the entrance of the base you can see inside it through small gaps between the walls and the gate. I spend the rest of the day building stone walls. I spend day 42 continuing to build the stone walls and pavement, and I cut the trees in my backyard. On day 43, I finish building the walls and the backyard of my house. I mount my bird for a look. I spend the rest of the day cooking food, crafting medicine, and healing my pals. I wake up next morning and I find that a chest has spawned in my backyard. Now that's a morning glory. I go on hunting for a while, I find a glowing Cativa, unlock a fast travel point, and enhance my wolf's max health at the furry god statue. After some more capturing of pals, I return to my base. I notice that Penking and Domund are stuck on the walls floor. Such idiots. I realize some pals might glitch out and get stuck on top of the wall, so I build a staircase. I realize Arsocks has ulcer, so I cure him by feeding him some pills. My cat is stressed out once again, so I have to craft ketamine for it again. This time, I have my high IQ waifu pal to help me to craft it. I cure my cat one more time by feeding it the ketamine syringe. Next morning, I see what more I can build. I need ingots for a lot of things, so I spend most of the day mining ore around my house. I meet an NPC called Cowardly Victim. He cries that some giant pal attacked him. He tells me I can't fight at night. What a wimp. I unlock some fast travel point and continue mining. Looks like one of my stone walls gets pals stuck in pathfinding. I mine some more ore, come back to smelt it. I then mine even more ore and I then come back to smelt it. I build a large toolbox and a silo. They are buildings with passive abilities. It does not matter where you place them in your base as long as they are within the pal box radius. They give you a productivity bonus to your pals. Next day, I build a heater inside my house. It says it warms the nearby area and protects against the cold. I also assume that it helps with the egg hatching process, so I place it near the egg incubator. I build a cooler outside and another egg incubator near it. There are different types of eggs in Palworld. Some prefer the heat and others the cold. I also think of building a viewing cage. It is a container for observing captured pals. It's basically a prison. It's so damn large that I can't find a space for it. I think to build it on top of the pal house, but it's still not enough flat space. So I extend the roof, connect it with some stairs, and I finally place it down. And for the crimes against humanity, and by that I mean for the mere annoyance of disturbing my pal hunting activity, I place the syndicate thugs in the prison. And here they will be capable to think about and regret their crimes. And with this build, I take a good look at my base. I conclude that after my honest attempt at making a good-looking base, after 12 days of arranging and rearranging the horizontal and vertical tiles, the base still looks like a Fortnite monstrosity. Well, I blame the game for that. I spend the rest of the day mining and smelting ore. I continue to look for ore next morning. My scouting for ore is interrupted by PETA terrorists. I attempt to capture one, but the capture rate is too low. After I get enough ore, I decide to go home. And now with more than 100 ingots, I can build a water fountain, which increases the watering speed of your pals. I remember to put up a sign at my new base. And for everything else I want to build, I need more ore. Next day, I continue my ore mining expeditions. Now at level 22, I think I'm ready to capture Catress, so I can finally have my very own cat princess. I take out Chilette and initiate a fight. She is quite a fierce fighter, but I am fiercer in my burning desire to make her my princess. I get her health low enough so I can capture her, but the blue spheres are too weak. I then tried the tier 2 green spheres, but unfortunately I only have 6. I burned through all my green spheres, and then I keep trying to capture her with the blue spheres. After all my attempts to make her mine, I do what any normal obsessed stalker would do in this situation, and kill her. If I can have her, nobody should. I then get home and start production for 18 tier 3 spheres. One day she will be mine. I just need to work some more on myself, and by that I mean have better capturing power. As I seek for more bosses to defeat, I find a great challenger, King Paka, the Bloat Lord, Supreme Fluff Commander. He is being accompanied by 2 small Bloat Knights. While Nightwing keeps the Bloat Lord busy, I take out his small Bloat Knights. Nightwing tries to entrap him with the thorns, but no one can keep the Bloat Lord in place. He is far too powerful. The Bloat Lord tries to crush me with his immense weight, but I easily evade his attack. He spews protein shakes on me, but while he might be a heavyweight champion, I am a lightweight champion myself. I am far too agile and nimble to be hit by his attacks. As his health approaches 0, I call Nightwing back in the sphere so he doesn't kill him, and then I try to capture the Bloat Lord. He fights back the capture for a while, but he succumbs to the power of the sphere in the end. The Bloat Lord is not only the king of muscle, but he can also carry supplies with his large stomach. I then decide that I fought enough for today and head home. On my way, I see a yellow hedgehog named Jolthog. He releases electricity while under attack, but with the Bloat Lord on my team, not even electricity can match that power. I start the next day by fighting Greentail and capturing her. The cat doesn't seem that useful, honestly. On my way to find more ore, I find some internal disputes at the Pita branch.
You're a white man! This is fucking You're fucking a white male!
While looking for ore, I find sulfur for the first time. I spend most of day 50 going back and forth my base and mining a lot of ore. While peacefully extracting natural resources from a mountain, some grandma kamikaze bees come to blow me up. It looks like the bees are the creepers of Palworld. I spend half a day mining ore. It gets really boring after a while. To lighten up my day and bring passion back into my life, I decide to make another visit to the cat princess. She probably respawned by now, and I will not fight her alone. As I enter her lair, I summon the Bloat Lord to fight on my side, so we can defeat and finally capture the cat princess. She may resist my capture alone, but with the Bloat Lord on my team, he will hold her in place and she will not be able to run away this time. He proceeds to jump on her like a massive Greek god he is and spew protein shakes on her, while I keep piercing her with my arrow. It is a tense fight between the two of them, and nowhere near a fair one. How can one cute petite girl defeat the champion of muscle lords? The fight goes on, and I keep striking her from afar like a coward. But through some miracle, just before the fight ends, the petite cat girl defeats the muscle champion. Well, she'll need another miracle to defeat me now, and I think her luck has just run out. This time, I successfully capture her. Catress. Like a typical cat princess, she prefers to eat raw food, like your raw meat. With the power of shadows, she produces arcane phenomena. She sucks you dry and then steals your wallet while you are in a weakened state with your guard let down. She likes to collect gothic books with the money she stole from you. And now I have my very own cat princess and will be forever mine to keep. I will chain her and make her obey my commands. From now on, she will live the rest of her life being my servant. I get home and immediately deploy my pleasure slave. She instantly starts picking wool off the ground. We're on a path to a good relationship here. To show my appreciation for her, I take out the kitchen knife slaughter a chicken in plain view of everyone, and then feed her my meat, also in plain view of everyone. I start day 51 by cooking some food. I then see that Brisla got stuck in the geometry. I hope she's not jealous of the cat princess. No one said you can be engaged with two waifus simultaneously. I then go to the small settlement that looked like an Indian favela. I buy milk from the wandering merchant. I return home and bake some cake. It literally takes quarter of a day to bake it, 5 real-life minutes. And I also had Arsox helping. He might have taken 6 or 7 without him. I assign a male and a female Melpaca to the breeding farm. I want to make them reproduce. For some reason, the male runs away like a wimp from his biological duties.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Maybe he's afraid he can't perform properly? Well, I don't care about his insecurities. I just want him to produce offsprings so I can profit from them. I place the cake in the breeding farm trap. You see, unlike the real world, where a male only needs the cake of his sexual partner to get it going, in Palworld, a male also needs some baked cake to get it going. I'm not sure why it's this way. You should ask the Japanese developers why they made it this way. They will probably answer that they were so high on weed water that they thought it would be a good idea to implement this double cake mechanic. I then look throughout the technology tree to see what I need to craft some gun. Slavery is only 1/3 of Palworld's Pokemon with slavery and guns selling point, and of that I got enough, namely 13 concurrent Pokemon slaves at my base. Looks like to make a makeshift handgun I need more quality Pal oil. I start day 52 by looking to see what Pal drops high quality Pal oil necessary in the crafting of the gun. It drops from Domund, which spawns in an area I have not explored yet, and so I take my party pals and travel towards it. On my way, I find quartz for the first time. I find a new fast travel point, go back to base to empty my inventory and see that the Melpaca couple have laid the egg. I then continue to explore where I left off, and my stupid wolf gets stuck in the geometry. But I am even dumber than the stupid wolf is and try to mount it, thinking that by doing that it will take him out from under the geometry. Joke's on me, because it took me to his location and not the other way around, and I got stuck inside the ground with him. I panic for a little while. I summon Nightwing and he also is stuck with me now. Luckily, I do manage to get out eventually. I continue traveling, but it looks like the Domund area is on the other side of the sea. I discover a new fast travel point and try to approach it from a different location. I travel towards it for the rest of the day. I unlock 3 new fast travel points by night. On day 53, I reach the Domund spawning area. They spawn between a bamboo forest and a desert. Both biomes make my 5-year-old computer lag like crazy for some reason. Luckily, I had some footage for the video that was running at more than 20 FPS. And with the high quality Pal oil, I can make my own proper gun. I had some ammo from fighting NPCs across the playthrough and go to try out my new gun. I really like shooting innocent animals from high on the bird. It deals a lot of damage and the pistol sounds really cool. But I quickly run out of bullets. So I go to see if the merchant sells ammo. He does not. And to craft the ammo myself is so time consuming. I need so much sulfur and ingots, it really isn't worth grinding for the time being. How underwhelming. I guess I'm stuck with the crossbow for now. I spend day 54 capturing pals, especially Pikachus. I find a new type of pal named Vixie. If you bully a Vixie, you best prepare to become enemies with the whole world. So essentially nothing changes for me. I get home and it looks like one of my eggs hatches a new type of pal. Maraith. It relishes the peculiar scent living things give off when they are near death. In other words, it stinks like your old grandpa. I start the next day by doing some boring inventory management, and I hatch a frozen egg. Sibelix, a great pal for its cooking skill. I deploy it and the Vixie at my base. I assign the Vixie to the ranch. It produces bones, which are needed for mid-game. I then make a grappling gun, which is a cool gimmick, but if you have a flying mount already, it's kind of an obsolete item. I hatch a new pal, Cinemoth. Sniffing it produces a feeling of unparalleled euphoria. In other words, its body secretes natural methamphetamine. I craft a stump and axe, which gives a passive bonus to pals with woodcutting ability. Many pals come to help in the building of it, including my cat princess, which levitates the hammer with her power of seductive telekinesis. And I spend the rest of the day mining ore. Next day, I find Pengulet hungry because it got stuck on a stone tile like an idiot. And I spend most of the day mining ore. Very tedious. I craft a stun baton. It's not good for damage, but for electrocuting pals before capturing them. Electrocuted pals have a higher chance of getting captured. Unfortunately, the shock lasts so few seconds that it's rarely worth using it. I need more high quality pal oil, and I return to the Domund area. My frame rate slows down in this area harder than a tank in Ukrainian soil. Night approaches, and because the fast travel point is so far away, I venture into the desert, hoping to find a closer fast travel point. I do not. In fact, there is no fast travel point inside the desert. But I do go home. However, I do so involuntarily. You see, the desert is very hot, and without a protective suit, you lose health from the heat. But I don't even die of hotness. After the night comes, I stop losing health from heat and start losing health from cold. While I search for a fast travel point, my health keeps ticking away until I lose all of it. On day 57, I return to the desert to retrieve my items and grind more domuns and ore. Having made level 29 and with enough ingots and high quality pal oil, I craft a handgun.
That's a lot of damage.
I start production for more ammo for it. I then want to craft more gigaspheres, but need more ingots, so I spend the rest of the day mining. Night comes, and I go check on my egg incubators. I get a new pal called Fellbat. While fighting together grants the player and Fellbat the lifesteal effect. On day 58, I check to see what more I can craft, and I see that for most stuff I need more ore. Who would have guessed? I spend all day looking for more ore, and while at it, I also hunt jolt hogs for their electric organs. I spend most of day 59 searching for ore and farming electric organs. While exploring the map, I find a cow-looking Pokemon. Mozzarina produces milk when assigned to ranch. I also capture Woollypop. Its entire body is 18,000 times sweeter than sugar. Well, I doubt that. Next morning, I assign Mozzarina and Woollypop to the ranch. I do some really boring inventory management and cooking. I hatch an egg and I craft a new pal. Bushi looks like a samurai pal. He's talented in a lot of areas. I finally build a power generator. And then Big Pikachu comes and single-handedly powers up my entire base. I try to build something new, and again, I need more ingots. I remember the day I first moved here that this area had an ore deposit. I wonder if I lost it forever by building over it, or if I destroy the pavement it will respawn again. I guess I'll see. I built a pickaxe and helmet, which has a passive that increases mining productivity for my pals. I was right to tear down the stone pavement. The ore in my base respawned. At least I get some automated ore source. I assigned Domund to it. It seems he's breaking it by leaking the ore deposit. I spent almost all of day 61 by mining some ore, coming back to base to smelt it, and going back at it to find some more. At the end of the day, I finally have enough ingots to build a sphere assembly line. But if I want to build tier 4 spheres, I need more ingots. I get so goddamn tired of mining ore. If it wasn't for the Pokemon with guns and pet slavery game mechanics, you'd think this is an ore mining simulator. I started day 62 by upgrading my base to level 14. I start production on the assembly line for only 4 hyperspheres and then go out to mine more ore. What are you doing up there? Get down and go back to work. I didn't think to build a production assembly line, but it looks like, once again, I lack the ingots to build one. Now please guess what I did next. I'll give you 5 seconds to guess what I did next. If you guessed that what I did next was to leave the stupid island of Palworld, hop on an airplane to a secret private island with some of the most powerful, rich, and famous people in the world, and start having meth-fueled sex parties, you are very, very wrong. What I did next was to go and mine more freaking ore! At the end of the day, I built a production assembly line. On day 63, getting so bored of grinding ore for buildings and gear, I decided to challenge once again the tutorial boss at Rain Syndicate Tower. But was I ready for the boss fight now? No. I was more than goddamn prepared. I was level 30 and they were level 10. I could have done this a lot sooner, but I literally forgot about it since moving to the new base. I start the boss fight and it looks like it's Bloatlord against Bloatlord. After I lowered their health close to 0, I attempt to capture both the huge Raichu Pokemon and the 18-year-old waifu. Unfortunately, you probably can't capture tower bosses. How unfortunate. I might be able to capture Raichu in the future when I find him in the wild, but will I be able to find the 18-year-old waifu in the wild and make her my servant? I decide to fight other bosses for the rest of the day. He is Quivern, some stupid ice dragon. He has level 3 transporting, which is quite useful, and it also says in its description that sleeping while cuddling a Quivern is said to be a heavenly experience. I think we should take away Pocket Pear's weed water. Just outside Quivern's arena, I find some new pals named Sui and Suipa. Looks like when you have them in your party, the more Suis you have in it, the more powerful the Suipa is. But other than for combat purposes, they aren't very useful in mid-game. I spent most of day 64 inside the cavern mining for resources. At the end of the dungeon, I find a Chikipi boss, which I deploy later at home. On day 65, I build a high quality hot spring. This one is superior to the lower level jacuzzi. It is comfier and it restores more sanity of your pals. But how can it be better than the weed water? This water is blue. Going inside it, feeling it for myself and thinking about it for a second, I realize why this jacuzzi is superior to the first one. The first one had green weed water and this one has blue crystal meth water. Oh, look how she comes to me in the blue meth water jacuzzi. Is there anything more cozy in this world than hugging your furry cat princess while doing crystal meth inside a hot spring with palm trees? I think not. You know what, Pocket Pear? You should throw away the weed water and start drinking meth water. It's a far better experience. Feeling refreshed and energized from the speed water, I then venture into the world to capture more pals. I find a new pal called Van Worm and capture one. It can be used as a flying mount. I also capture Broncherry. Its scent drastically changes before and after pairing. Wait, how can you change before something? How the hell can you change in the past? Is it some sort of time-traveling lover? I then defeat a bushy boss. He is very powerful. He has the ability to teleport and it also does a lot of damage. Unfortunately, there is no health potion in Palworld. You can only use your pals to recover health faster. I summon Felbat to get some lifesteal, but the lifesteal passive isn't as great as I hoped. I continue hunting and capture a Floppy. It would have been very handy in the beginning of the playthrough. Right now, it's kind of obsolete. On day 66, I want to make more hyperspheres and more handgun ammo. But I got so few ingots, so I'd have to go mining for more ore. And I am so sick and tired of it. There's gotta be a way to automate this. And so I open my browser, hop on Google, and search for Palworld Better Ore Mining. A bunch of videos pop up. After some proper researching, I see that there are some decent ways to acquire ore much faster than I do at a snail speed by manually mining for it with a pickaxe. I can see that there are a bunch of ways to gather ore faster. For the next days, I make a plan to build a base specifically for ore mining. I go to some area on the mountain with the intention to set up a ore mining base and clear it of pita squatters. Near it, I capture a pal named Robin Quill, who kind of looks like a Martian from the Duck Dodgers show from my childhood. I build a bed for me and a few beds for my future workers at the ore mining base. In the morning of day 67, I craft a saddle for the rush boar. I come back to the ore mining base and deploy Domuns, the best miners I have, and a few other pals to carry the ore to the chests. Yeah, that looks more like it. I should have done this a long time ago. I set up a ranch as a food source for them and deploy some farm animals. In only one day of hanging around and managing the ore mining base, I gather 140 ingots from it. Unfortunately, you have to be present at the base for the pals to mine the ore deposits, but I'm still very glad I finally have an automated ore source. I craft a lot of handgun ammo and hyperspheres with the ingots and call it a day. Next morning, I deploy Catress and Penking at the ore mining base. I then go to a cavern and mine some ore deposits with the rush boar. Inside the cavern, I capture a pal named Loop Moon. He's not very useful now in the mid-game. At the end of the dungeon, I encounter a boss called Gobfi and his minions. He puts on a decent fight and knocks out my Bloatlord, but I manage to capture him. Long ago, it was a large and powerful aquatic pal, and across the thousands of years, he devolved into a pathetic penguin. On day 70, I craft a saddle for the Bloatlord so I can ride him in battle. It sure looks cool to fight with him. Afterwards, I decide to get rid of some of the stone pavement inside my base and replace it with foundations for walls on the exterior. Pal's pathfinding often gets stuck due to the stone tiles inside. I spend all day 71 doing grindy activities around my two bases like cooking, mining ore, and healing the samurai pal from stress. What the hell are you two doing in a tree? Get down now. In the evening, I build a tomato plantation. On day 72, I decide to build a weapon assembly line, but I need more high quality pal oil, so I go to the Domund desert area. Right there, I encounter a spiky turtle. Dig toys, I capture a few. I also capture a pal with flowy hands. Looks like Dig Toys also drops high quality pal oil and is a level 3 miner, one level above Domund. Hanju can be used as a glider. It is probably better than my current glider pal. Right as I was leaving, I see a giant spiky boy. It's very powerful and it shocks me into place with one laser beam. It was in this moment I knew I wanted this pal to fight on my side. Next day, I go to my ore mining base and replace the Domunds with Dig Toyses and place the special one in my party. I then watch how they go at it. This is music to my ears. I craft Dig Toyses headband and see how fast it mines resources with it. Pretty damn fast. I then place Hanju in my team and craft its gloves. When I activate him as a glider, I actually get higher initially for a few seconds before I start descending. I build a cauldron in my backyard that increases the medicine productivity of my pals. The Quivern is so damn huge and his action radius is so big, he literally can build something from 6 meters away. I build a fine bed for myself at my main base. A proper master knows how to respect himself. And I build one at my ore mining base. Next day, I make Van Worm's saddle. She lasts longer in the air than my previous bird. And it is this theme right here I'll stick with for many more days to come. Why the hell are you in the tree? Of course you're hungry up there. Get down immediately. I spent day 75 doing chores around my base like crafting, cooking, healing pals. I replace half the beds with fluffy pal beds. I then craft a weapon assembly line, and with it I can upgrade my base to level 15. On day 76, I think of building a flower bed. I unlocked this building so many days ago, but so far I haven't encountered that many beautiful flowers. So I scour through my pal deck and see that the only pal I know that drops beautiful flower is Ribbunny. While searching for Ribbunny, I encounter some green bear looking Pokemon. Mosada, good for many things, especially for transporting. I keep searching for the pink humanoid bunny for 5 minutes and don't find any. What I do find is a yellow boss version of Mosada. I fight quite an epic battle with Big Spiky Boy and Bloatlord on my team. At the end, I try to capture it and it keeps escaping the spheres, and in one of my full retard moments, I shoot it a few times to lower its health even further, and one of my bullets deals a critical hit and kills it. Well, I'll get it some other time. I resume my search for the re-bunnies, and I barely find 4 by the end of the day. On day 77, after some tedious chest inventory management, I continue my hunt for beautiful flowers. Looks like the monstrous yellow bear respawned. I fight another great fight, and this time I capture it. And look who's coming to get captured next. Mosada Lux, a pal whose power is truly amazing. And it can be ridden. You can be damn sure I'll try to ride this creature. I continue my searching for bunnies and I find some desert runaway. He gives me 5 palladium and I move on. I keep looking for re-bunny and man, are they rare. And not only that, but beautiful flower drops less than half the times when I kill them. By the end of the day, I only found 4 re-bunnies and none of them dropped a beautiful flower. Next morning, I decide to give up grinding for beautiful flowers. It's a waste of time. I hatch one of the eggs and it's a new pal, Nox. Seems like a low-level fox, not useful at all to me now. Another chest spawned in my backyard overnight. It's not very useful what I find inside them, but I think that it's funny they keep spawning in my backyard. I add Mosada Lux to my party and want to build its item so I can ride it. Unfortunately, I need a lot of high quality pal oil for it. I go back to the desert area to farm some more. After half a day of farming, I decide to keep farming during the night. The travel point is so far away, I don't see a reason to return to base now. This would literally be only my second night I don't sleep in a bed. With my frame rate slower than a snail on its week off, I feed myself and my pals some food and keep going. And then, all of a sudden, I encounter the weirdest of creatures. What the hell is this? What are you two doing here in the middle of the night? Truly a creature of the night, which is why I need to have one of these for my own pleasure. Lovelander, seeking a night of love. It is always chasing someone around. Well, I guess you found me. And it's also number 69. Of course it is. You know what? I should just make my own harem of these creatures. Morning comes and I return to farming high quality pal oil. I enter a cave and farm some palladium and sulfur. There you go, big boy. I love seeing that. There's so many resource pieces on the ground, my frame rate tanks for a few seconds. I defeat the sweep-up boss at the end of the dungeon and then go home. Now with enough oil, I can craft Mosada Lux's grenade launcher and ride her. I start day 80 by going out and testing my new mountable Titan. And then I knew. With this Titan on my side, it was time for me to get my revenge. After all the times he has disrespected me, mocked me, and stomped all over my base, the time has come for me to show the monster who's really the master of this land. With an amazing team of giants, I attack the shameless beast. It proves to be a great fighter too, worthy of admiration, but I prove to be stronger. Look man, if seeing this footage right here doesn't convince you to try out Palworld for yourself, I don't know what will. This game is truly amazing. It may not be perfect, but it has some wonderful moments. I have summoned all 5 of my pals to help me take out the beast. I believe it is time to capture it and make it my servant once and for all. But it keeps resisting the capture. I burn through 4 of my hyperspheres in an instant. At this rate, I may lose all my hyperspheres and never capture the creature. And all of the sudden, my brain that helped me fight the monster and take down its health until now turns into a plastic, slimy, squishy piece of trashy goo. I just come with the small brain, troglodyte, room temperature IQ, mentally handicapped idea of taking out my stun baton and increase the chance of the monster getting captured. I get close to the beast with my intention to stun it, and Mamoris proceeds to killing me in one hit.
You can't keep getting away with it! He can't keep getting away with it! He won't.
The monster one more time mocks me. With great shame, I return to retrieve my items and look into its eyes. You can't keep getting away with it. There will be a day when I'll catch you and you will be under my command. You might have won this battle, but the war is still unfinished. The beast dismisses me. For the time being, it is still supreme over this land, stomping as it pleases from morning to dusk. When I'll have an Ultrasphere, I will return and capture it eventually. I go home, lick my wounds, repair my broken armor. I upgrade my pals as a sign of appreciation for how well they fought on my side. We might not have captured the monster, but we could have killed it, and that is greatly thanks to my trusted team. I then go to sleep. With anger in my heart, I can barely close my eyes. Next day, I wake up with a hole in my wall. What in the 7 hells? I think to myself. And then, just outside my base, literally the first thing I see is another Mamorest. Did your uncle send you to put salt on the wound and continue to mock me? Fueled with great fury, I start blowing the wild beast to smithereens. All my pals in my base come to my aid in hurting the great beast. I then capture it. I now have one of these beasts for myself. I then deploy it at my base to forever be my own beast of burden. Role-playing jokes aside, what happened to the walls here is most probably that because walls outside the radius of your PAL box degrade, they probably ran out of durability. As you can see, the stone tiles inside the radius of the PAL box have full durability and the ones outside do not. I then spend the rest of the day redoing the stone walls of the base in an attempt to make it look better, but in the evening they look just as janky and unprofessional. I also spend day 82 trying to make the walls of my base look better. What a waste of time. On day 83, I decide to go out and defeat more bosses. I have been postponing a certain boss for probably more than 40 days, thinking I needed to fight it on a flying mount since the boss is situated in a body of water. But when I get there, I can see that the water is very shallow and you can fight it on foot. I keep doing damage very easily, and at one point, while mounted on my giant Pikachu bear, I deal so much damage with one electricity attack, it literally takes the remaining half of its health away, killing it instantly. I then go fight a boss closer to my level, some stupid water dragon, Elfidran. It possesses a demeanor as pure as appearance suggests, but it does not possess any useful skills I want. I go to a boss named Petalia and capture it. A pal that transforms into a massive plant when at the end of its life, but more importantly, while it's alive, it has a very useful planting skill. As I get home to my main base, I change Brisla with Petalia. Next morning, I do some super tedious chest inventory management and some grinding at my base. I also deploy a pleasure slave at my main base. What the hell are you doing in the tree? Of course you're hungry. There is no food up there. It's not a fruit tree. Next thing I do, I return to the shallow water boss. Near it, I find a blue seahorse kind of Pokemon, Kelpsea. Its personality changes depending on the quality of the water it was born to. I wonder what its personality would be if it were born in my crystal meth water jacuzzi. I attack Azurobi and capture it this time. I then fight a Nightwing boss. It's a bird against bird fight. And it is right here, on day 85, that some godly miracle causes a momentary lapse in my autism, and I notice a chest function called Quick Stack. You press R and it sends into the chest all similar items you have in your inventory. Until now, I have been manually shift left clicking every item stack I want to place in a chest. Next, I go and fight another boss. It is a level 30 war sect. It is indeed a great warrior pal. It takes away half my health with one attack. As I try to escape the boss arena, it literally kills me one moment before escaping the boss arena. I come back and defeat him this time. It is a very powerful pal, but how the hell does such a disgusting looking Pokemon drop honey? I wouldn't want to eat honey from this thing. On day 86, I deploy Warsect on my ore mining base because it's a level 3 transporter. While doing some storing in my chests, I remember that I haven't tried out one of those dungeon schematics in a long time. I scour through them and I see one item that might interest me, a crossbow schematic tree. I craft the level 3 crossbow and it's 60% better than my old crossbow. This is why it's good to always check what loot you get. I then go out and defeat some lightning horse boss and capture him. Univolt. It used to be considered an emissary of the Thunder God, however, Thor upgraded his mounts to Valkyries and put him back in the storage in the PAL box. I start day 87 with the desire to uncover more of the map. As I'm riding my trusty wolf horse, I come across a fight between a PAL merchant and syndicate thugs. When I decide to intervene, the merchant was one shot away from death. If I were even 2 seconds late, he would have definitely been dead. He thanks me for saving his life, but what is his reward for stopping him from becoming one with the dirt, offering me some overpriced pals I already owned? The trade he offers is so bad that even Dino Blossom couldn't believe it and came closer to see for herself. After saving your life, is this how you repay me? I should have left you to die, you charlatan. In my burst of anger, I throw a ball at him to imprison the crook. And to my surprise, I realized that I can legit capture a merchant. I had no freaking idea you could do this. I then continue exploring and kill some low-level sweeper boss. I keep going to capture level 23 Brancherry, unlock a new fast travel point and go home. I then place the PAL merchant in my team. For some reason, he keeps running away from me.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Afterwards, I deploy him at my base. This time, he is completely chill and doesn't run away from me anymore. And not only that, but he is now willing to trade with me. His buy offers are still overpriced pals I already own. But it is here when I think I should get rid of all the PAL duplicates I don't need. I go through my gigantic list of captured pals and sell the majority of them for a lumping sum of 44,000 gold. I swear guys, I didn't even have the intention to capture a PAL merchant, I just thought it would be funny if I tried. But now, with a PAL merchant in my possession, I can sell any PAL I want without having to go to the small settlement. Day 88. I see two idiots up in the trees. What are you doing there? Get down now. I do some morning chores around my base and then see another PAL stock. Looks like they even get stuck in stone walls without the roof tiles. One of the reasons I took down the horizontal tiles was that these moronic PALs would stop getting stuck in it. I then take my PAL team and venture out for more exploring of the map. I encounter a big glowing wolf horse, and you're damn sure I'll capture him. I then defeat a low-level Gumas boss. While riding around, I encounter two female Mamores fighting each other, possibly fighting over males. Maybe they're such a violent species that even the females fight each other to death. That could explain my very unpleasant experience with these creatures. I then encounter a wandering merchant, and with my deep pockets, I buy 100 bones. They are needed to craft cement, which I need a lot right now. I also buy a bunch of schematics. As I get home, first thing I do is try my new wolf horse. He may not be faster, but he looks cooler, being a bigger version of my old direwolf. And so I replace my old mount with him and call him Big Fast Horse. I then look to see how the schematics from the merchant look, and I find one that absolutely fits my style. Looks like the bowler hat is actually a fedora. I craft it and see how I look with it, and while I do look a lot cooler with it, unfortunately I have to put back on my metal helm because the fedora has very low stats, just like real life. On day 89, I capture Petalia once again so I can add her to my team as well. She has a powerful healing special ability. I continue exploring, find a fast travel point, and capture some electricity dinosaur boss. Relaxaurus Lux is basically a procrastinator that procrastinates in luxury. Isn't that the dream? To be a deadbeat of a creature, but still live in luxury as well? On day 90, I go to some cave to mine resources. Inside it, the creeper bee explodes me. They are a lot more dangerous than they look. I go back to the cave, recover my items and keep mining. At the end of the dungeon, I find a cat princess boss. I let my big Pikachu bear shock her a bunch of times and then I capture one more cat princess. I'm thinking maybe I should make an entire harem of these creatures. I spend most of day 91 into a cave mining for resources as well. The end boss is a catress as well, and I add her to my cat princess collection. I go to my ore mining base for the remaining of the day. I continue to watch over my mining ore base next day. And with more than 100 ingots in my possession, I start production for 360 handgun ammo. I then replace my wooden gate with a stone gate so it fits better on the wall. Unfortunately, it still doesn't stick into place like building styles do. I spend the rest of the day hunting water pals for pal fluids. On day 93, I build two improved furnaces, one at my main base and one at my ore mining base. I upgrade my capture power level to 4. With enough ore mined, I start production for refined ingots. On day 94, with the refined ingots, I make a refined metal axe, pickaxe and spear. They take a long time to craft. I then craft a hip lantern, which helps you see in dark places. It gives enough light so that you don't need to constantly keep a torch in your hand to see anything. I also craft a single shot sphere launcher. I go test it out, but I see zero difference in throwing off my ball from it or by throwing it with my hand, like I've been doing so far. The launcher doesn't even make a sound effect. I assume it's a bug, but I could be doing something wrong. Let me know in the comments if it's a bug or if I'm the one being stupid here. I then build a mega grappling gun, which says it has longer reach than the old grappling hook, but when I test it out, I see zero difference in range or speed. This may also be a bug or something. And it continues to be an obsolete item since I have a flying mount. I spent half of day 95 flying around the mountain looking for sulfur, but with no luck. I find a cave I haven't explored. This cave is infested with Pita squatters. Unfortunately, I don't find sulfur inside it either, so I mine some coal and go to defeat the boss and get out. I get home and I find my cat princess on top of the trees. Don't worry, I got used to the glitchiness of pal creatures by now. On day 96, I finally find some sulfur. I uncover some more of the map and find a new fast travel point. I spend the evening at my ore mining base, smelting refined ingots. On day 97, I unlock the Sphere Assembly Line 2, the circuit board, polymer and carbon fiber. I decide to go into a cave to get more coal I need. I defeat the Hucrates boss at the end and loot a work speed pendant. I decide to continue exploring the surrounding area. I stumble across some ash mountain called Mount Obsidian to see what new stuff I can find here, but my curiosity is quickly cut short when I see that I start taking a lot of hit damage. I then decide to go home and call it a day. Next morning, I start production for circuit boards. While crafting, I notice my Relaxaurus Lux is standing outside, contemplating upon the immortality of the soul and the endlessness of the multiverse.
However ruined this world has become, however mired in torment and despair, life endures.
Well, buddy, you're not here to do that. You're here to work, so get back to work. I resume my crafting of the circuit boards. I then craft polymer, go to the desert and farm some more high quality pal oil. I now have all the necessary ingredients to craft the tier 2 sphere assembly line. Even with me and 5 other pals, it still takes more than a minute. I start day 99 by starting production for Ultra Spheres. I do some grinding for resources and start production for some more. I upgrade my base to level 16. And so, the great day has arrived. The day I finally get my revenge. I have been plotting and planning for this day for such a long time. My pals and I are finally ready. I am fully stocked with arrows, handgun ammo, and I now have 9 Ultra Spheres with me. I fast travel to the lair of the beast, knowing that its reign is finally over. I summon my enormous electric titan and I give the beast a rude awakening. I begin the fight with the grenade launcher. Next pal I use in battle is my big spiky boy. I activate his special ability, Drill Crusher, and he starts drilling away the health of the beast. I then summon my bird, and I fight the beast while spewing fire at it. And with the last shots, I know the monster is ready to be captured and finally be my subordinate. And despite all the times he has mocked me and stomped all over my pride, I did eventually come on top. I take one last look at the valleys and lakes and know that these lands have a new master. They are now under my dominion. And with my sense of mastership, I then travel back home. I get home and I summon the beast. It runs for a while, still thinking that it is a free creature, refusing to accept the grim reality it now faces. It is now my servant, and it will continue to be till the rest of its days. Or at least until I sell it. It tries to escape one more time, but I quickly put it back in my sphere. There is nowhere it can run now. The monster is no longer free to roam and stomp all over the valleys and mountains. Its new purpose in life is to cut down trees for me. And the stupid freaking monster also gets stuck on top of the trees. I might have defeated half the bosses in Palworld, but it seems like I can't defeat its glitches. And after these closing remarks, I take one more look at my base and marvel at what I have accomplished. But was I finished? Was I satisfied? Do I have enough to finally be content? No. I want more. I want more riches, a grander base, and more Pokemon slaves under my command. I decide that all I have done so far is only the beginning. I realize that I have been too soft and forgiving. I changed the working conditions of my servants from my foolishly benevolent Scandinavian 6-hour-a-day normal working conditions to the super hard working Amazon mode where I demand brutal work from the pals. Work harder. Work harder. Work harder. Produce more milk at once. Thank you very much for watching. If you stuck till the end, you are such a beast. You are a bigger beast than Mamorist. I hope you enjoyed seeing this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And I hope you are less tired than I was after 6 weeks of writing the script and editing the video. Part 2 is coming soon, so please subscribe if you want to see the next 100 days in Palworld, where I hope to finally make a nice looking base and not one more hideous Fortnite monstrosity, uncover the entire map of Palworld, defeat every boss, and capture and enslave every pal. See you then.